Here are my 5 must-know logo design secrets that I use when I work with client logos to make stunning designs. Now, if you apply these, then your work will improve, but the only way you're gonna get better is if you take action. I'm gonna show you some real examples from some client projects. It's gonna help you understand what I mean. So the first thing I love doing is injecting at least 2 to 3 concepts or ideas within my logo designs. And the reason is because I love telling the brand story, and it's logical. It gives some identity to the brand and makes it more distinctive, but it allows us to inject some of that strategy into the logo. So here was a logo for a YouTube channel called Brainwave. Now, they loved sort of the Da Vinci Man, and there's a show called Westworld which they liked as well. And I also had this idea of like sacred geometry, because it's they play music, binaural beats, ethereal trance-like music when people go to sleep. So we wanted to stick to that sort of metaphysical type of idea, and I combined those 2 ideas to create this, which was like a silhouette of the Da Vinci Man and then these triangles in the back, which makes it look interesting, futuristic and spiritual, and it just looks really cool. So that was one example. So this company was a mobile tire business. They come to you when you have a flat tire, which sucks. But what I combined was the M, the T, and the L, because it was called Mobile Tire Legends. And you can see this was one of the first concepts. It wasn't the final concept for the icon, but it was one of the ones I thought was really cool. This was a helmet as well. So it's got a Spartan Persian type of helmet, and the circle represents the wheel. And that's why I put it in the circle and made a silhouette. And this was the logo I created. It was super fun to create sort of this dynamic logo type as well. I slanted it to represent speed, also adding the ear of the G into Thunderbolt, which I thought was really cool, because Mobile Tire Legends, I got some inspiration from games, and it feels like League of Legends, which was interesting. So I thought I'd inject that into the logo. And lastly, here's another one for a business that does security doors for homes and blinds. And so it was called Horizon. Now I used the initial H, the blinds on the window, service, the door represents security and safety. So you can see the door right there. And then we have the fort and castle, because old school castles were built by stone, and they built them and they had sort of these barriers so archers couldn't basically shoot them. Or archers could shoot from them as well. But that's why I created these walls to represent strength. And so this is the final design I came up with. I thought it was really cool, and I love the vibrancy, the colors, and how it turned out. It just really looks amazing. Those are some ideas. Inject at least 2 to 3 ideas within the concept of the logo. Make sure your logo is simple, because it has to work at many different sizes. And that leads me to point number 2. Your logo must be versatile and scalable. So if it can't work on a big billboard and a small icon, app icon, then it's gonna fail. Like, you need to have that flexibility. Now, here is what I mean. Here's an example of a brand for a cosmetic brand. You can see I've got a whole bunch of different variations. You always want to create multiple variations for your client. So you can see here, these ones are vertical. We've got stacked versions, which could be used maybe for a window. This one could be used for maybe a pull-up banner or a sign. These ones could be obviously used on, the website, social media. You've got ones with just the text and the name of the owner. You've got this one, which is just the logo type, the word mark. You've got the stacked logo type there. And then you've got these versions, which is the symbol of the sun and really small size. And you can see that it's flexible. You can use it in different type of scenarios or situations. So that's why you always got to ask questions to your client. Where is this logo or brand going to be operating? Is it social media? Are they going to events, physical events, etc.? It was just a concept project, and this one was all about a content creator conference with artists and just a mix of different creator types. And so you can see I've got different versions here. We've got the logo types here. We've got a stacked version, one with the white text. We've created this cool C and L, as you can see there, with the colors out of this vibrant gradient. And we've got different versions, like using the date and using the conference. This outline effect I thought was really cool, what it would look like on a very small size. So you can see here, obviously I'm just in Illustrator, you can see some different variations. I think it looks really cool. And once again, make sure that your logo is versatile. Create multiple variations for your clients. Don't just do 2 versions or just a main logo. That's boring. You're limiting your client basically. So design a good brand identity. The next thing you want to remember is always pick your colors strategically. I've got 3 logos here, and each one feels a little different even though it's the same symbol. So I've got gradients on each one. The left one, I put these bright blue ones and a blue background. And this one feels more techy. It feels like a SaaS company. It feels modern, futuristic. And the middle one feels more premium, a bit more elegant, a bit more like it could be for a handmade business or textile business. something like that, or maybe even real estate. I think this is really cool, or even like a florist or something like that. So it feels on premium. And then this one, I use the Italian colors, red, green, and blue. Sorry, red, white, and green. And this could be used for pizzeria or you know, a treat biscuit company or something like that. And so remember, picking colors matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what color you pick. Like in the Western world, all colors are used for all types of businesses. You can look at Starbucks, Taco Bell, you know, McDonald's, Cadbury. Like, look at all the food brands, all these different colors. At the end of the day, it's about carving an image and a perception in the mind of the customer, and they remember you. And when you create a distinctive asset, whether it's a color, font, a logo, whatever it is, it helps the client remember the business or the brand in the mind. And that's why it's good to pick the right colors and make sure it fits the specific business you're working for. The next tip I have is to always use space effectively. Now, when I create a logo, I always try and look at how I can use the tagline or slogan and put it into the logo, or have contrast with colors, because I want my logo to feel symmetrical. I want it to feel neat and tidy and professional. Here's an example of a concept project I had for a hybrid vehicle business, electric vehicles. It was called Sylphion. And so in the space on the bottom here, you can see I created, if I just move that text out the way, there was this nice space between the P and the N, and the descender here of the P just made it nice and neat, so I could align like directly on the bottom line there. It just looks so good, and I'm super happy with that design choice. It just feels better. I'm using the space nicely because you want to have a nice lockup, a nice logo that has a good layout, and you can, you know, mess around with it and change it around. You know, you can always play around. Like, I thought about doing like this. I could move around. Even this was a potential version. You can see this nice rectangular shape up there. Could have worked as well, but I just liked it having bigger, because having it be on the bottom there and be a bit bigger has more balance. Here's an example of a client project. I did a logo for Disneyland Paris. It was a badge, and you can see we're using this castle as the main element here, and then we're putting sort of these stars around it to fill in that space, and then we've got the date there as well. And you can see the castle was used as a divider to split the text up for the certified reseller. You've got this rounded text, and it all came together in a nice circular shape. I think it's really well. Obviously, there's empty space in the bottom there. We didn't want to crowd the logo design. We wanted to make it feel that it had enough white space. And you always got to remember, white space or negative space is actually a live element in a design. It's not a random element. It's actually a choice you make. So that's an example of using space effectively. Now, lastly, you can use grids. Grids is a great way to create geometric or isometric logos. It's also good to help scale your logo so it feels balanced and it feels you know, neat and tidy, and it's all working well together. This rule of 2 is a good one to use. You can create sort of this, you can see these rectangles here. I learned one of these tips from Made by James. He shares a few tutorials on his Instagram. Now, basically you want to half the size of your main logo text. So I created a rectangle and I just halved it, so it equals 2. And then we just want to duplicate that. And then for this text, I put it in the middle, and I scaled the icon to double the size of my text. And you get this logo, which looks like this. So it's super balanced, because if I were just to like do whatever size, it would feel really big and it wouldn't feel like it's matching well. Here's another example here, just the horizontal version. You can see we've got a size there, and then all we're doing is doubling the size of the icon. So it's doubling, the icon is double the size of the text for that the grid. So if I scale this down, it would look very small like this, and you can't see the details, right? I have to zoom in, right? But when we double it, it looks like this. It feels balanced. It feels like it works. And if we don't want to go too big, because once again, it starts losing that, you know, element of design. It starts becoming too like off balance and stuff. So that's what I'll do. So those are my 5 must-know tips that you should apply whenever you're designing a logo, and your designs will be 10 times better. If you do want to learn logo design, I do have 2 logo design courses you can check out. If you're a beginner, I have a logo design for beginners course and a logo type design one where I show you different types of logo styles to create. Check those links. I'll put them in the link, the description below. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more logo design videos, subscribe and leave a comment below on what you want to see. Thanks so much. Chat to you next time.